Right, here's the second part of the Thor's Hammer Pendant tutorial. We're going to take the vector file that we made in the last session and import it into Tinkercad. So remember, we saved this to our Google Drive. Now we need to download it to our computer, and we're going to click on download, and we need to make sure you select Scalable Vector Graphics, or SVG for short, when we click on that. And you'll see it goes to the bottom of your bottom of the page. Now in Tinkercad, this is I've just done a create new, just a blank Tinkercad page. We're going to go to import, and then it says choose a file, and you can drag and drop. So I can literally take the file from here and drag it into here. Now at the moment you can see that the width and the dimensions are quite big. It's really quite a large thing, 220 millimeters wide, so that's 22 centimeters wide. You can kind of choose how the size that you'd like yours to be. I'm going to go for make this one a little bit smaller than the last one and just make the width 60 millimeters, and you can see that it's scaled up the other dimension as well. So I'm going to put center. It doesn't really matter which of these two. If we've if you put the object like I've done here with not a lot of empty space, so just artboard is fine. You can see there's not much difference. I'm going to turn that back to 60. Alright, so I'm going to go to import. Okay, so you can see it automatically gives it a certain amount of depth. Now that's a little bit too much for me, so I'm going to shrink mine down to just 5 millimeters. You can kind of do the thickness that you'd like. You want it to have reasonable thickness, but not too much. So the next stage, we want to make a hole for the what's the word? The necklace. The rope or the leather cord to go through that's going to go around your neck. So we're going to go for cylinder first of all. This is particularly important, particularly if your amulet is a bit, or pendant is a bit thinner, because if I make it like 3 millimeters, there simply isn't the thickness here to put a hole through your pendant. So you basically need to give it the thickness. I'm going to make this one 4 actually, just so it's somewhere in the middle. Okay, so I'm going to get the cylinder now, and then you'll have to turn it on its side. So again, you hold down this turning icon, and remember, like we've done before, if you turn it within this protractor, it will snap to common degrees, so we can go to 90. If it's out, you can see it goes up in ones, which is not what we want. So we'll do it to 90 degrees. Now you can see it's a bit blocky there, because it's actually a 20-sided shape. So we're going to just increase the number of sides until it's fairly smooth. I wouldn't put it up to maximum, but basically the bigger the number of sides, the larger your file is going to be, which isn't a massive consideration, but it just makes things a little bit quicker to render if you don't have huge files. So we're going to shrink this down now. I'm holding down Shift as I do this, because I'm resizing it sort of to scale. Now that's actually worked pretty well. This is a bit fiddly, so what you do is really scale it to sort of a size that you're kind of happy with. I reckon probably about that would do. That would give me a decent sized hole. Then I'm going to change my snap grid, because I want to move it over so it's just about poking over the edge there. So that's pretty good. And then this side here, I can actually pull that out until it's the same on that side, roughly the same. Now what I'm going to do is the align tool to make sure those are both even. So that's already selected. I'll hold down Shift. I'm going to click on the object, click on the main part of it. This is the align tool. First click on the thing that you don't want to move. I don't want the base bit to move, so I'm going to click on that. And now you can see here it's centered it. So on both sides it looks the same. Now you can see here this bit looks a bit strange where you've got that bit sticking out. So I'm actually going to move this block back, move it out until that's a kind of smooth join. Now that looks really good. That's going to be nice and smooth. Alright, so that's given it the thickness that we need to put a hole through. So now I'm going to get a hole. Now this is when I'm going to change the work plane so it's actually on the shape, because I want to be dropping a hole onto that face there. I'm going to go to cylinder. I'm going to shrink it down. Probably about a 3mm hole is about right. So I'm going to make it. Let's try a bit of trial and error. You can get a ruler and see which size of hole you think looks best. That's fine. Maybe I'll make it 4. Just basically, you don't want it to be too thick. Actually, that looks quite good. I might go for 3.5 or 3.6. Yeah, that looks that's pretty good. In the moment, you can see that's not actually. It's not centered, and B, it's not actually going all the way through the thing. You know, I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to make it 4. Just round number. There we go. Okay, right. So now first thing I'm going to do is center that, align that so it's dead in the middle of this sort of circular bit that I've added this cylinder. So I've clicked that already, so it's selected. I hold down Shift. I select the base, the main part as well, and I click on the align tool. And just like last time, you click on the thing that you don't want to move. I don't want that base to move. I only want the middle bit to move. And as you hover over, you can see it does a preview. So that's fine there, and I want to center it there. So that is now dead centered with that bit there. Now, because you got this weird, looks like kind of glitchy flashing, that's telling us that that hole is resting exactly on the surface of that cylinder. So we want to obviously make that stretch all the way through, cut through. So I've just turned the work plane back to normal. So I did that quickly without explaining what I did. I clicked work plane, and then if you just click on any white area, it will come back to the default blue color. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm just going to extend it so it pokes out all the other end. It doesn't have to be exact. It can just, as long as it goes all the way through, that's fine. So that is that's that stage there. So if we group everything together so far, and we press group, you can see that is that hole that's combined with that, and you've got a hole all the way through, and that's a nice smooth join. One useful tip is that when you're actually drawing of your outline first of all in Google Drawings, try and make this end bit straight so you don't get any kind of weird curves here. Good. Right, I'm pretty happy with that. So now I want to add some of the features that were on that original Thor's hammer. I've actually deleted the file right now, but there we go. I can remember what it looked like. So there was a ring, and I'm actually going to use a torus for this. I'm going to cheat and use some of the shapes that have already been used. So there's a torus there. That doesn't look any good at all. So you need to play around a bit with the sizes of things. So radius. So that's obviously makes it wider. I'd probably actually more inclined just to use this tool for the radius. Let's just try like 15. And then we want to change this tube. I think this is the width of the tube. So again, just a bit of trial and error. Let's try 1.5. That's pretty good. Maybe a tiny bit smaller. Try 1.4. This is, again, all this stuff is really up to you. You can make it this size, you know, whatever size you want. Holding down Shift again as I resize this. Let's go for 14.6, and I held down Shift as well, so it does both sides. Okay, maybe a bit bigger actually. Let's make it 15. Good. Now it's still a little bit on the blocky side there, so I'm going to increase the number of sides to make it smoother, and I'm going to increase the number of steps to make it, that's the maximum number. Alright, now at the moment that's not any good because it's actually poking, it's, you know, just sat on the top surface. So I'm going to hover over the this cone thing and push it down, and you can see I'm still on the 0.1mm snap grid. I could turn that back to 1mm, which is kind of the standard one. Although that's actually a bit much, isn't it? Well, that kind of looks pretty good. Let's zoom in. I really do zoom in quite closely here. I'm using the scroll wheel to make sure that it's now. Now it's starting to go in again there. So actually, let's go to 0.1 again and just bring it down a little bit. I'm actually inside it there. Looking good. Right, I'm happy with that. Now I haven't centered this yet. It looks pretty centered. It could be centered just by chance, but just to make sure, that's already selected. So I'm gonna hold down Shift, select the base, do the align tool, click on the thing I don't want to move, which is this, And actually, oh look, it actually was already... Oh no, session lost or expired. That's my internet playing up. Let's see if it will come back on. Right, I will do the next part of the video when my internet's back on.